How's it going, guys? This is your host of the hour, presenting to you the kernels of truth you need to hear with a few shady twists. Welcome back to the newest installment of We Are in Crisis, episode 11. If you are new or a regular viewer of this channel, please do me a favor and be a pal by clicking the like button. Every like helps the channel. Full disclosure, any opinions shared or expressed throughout this live are mine and mine only. If you find any of this content triggering or upsetting in any capacity, please refrain from watching the live and revisit this live at a later time of your convenience. Anyways, with the disclaimers out of the way, I just wanted to hop on and go live briefly. I wish I could have done a longer live, but I'm in a bit of a time crunch. So I have not addressed this story, and something just came out recently that makes me want to revisit this topic. Completely skipped it over because of the recent situation with the uh, trans shootings that have been occurring lately. I've been covering them, so I've been sidetracked and I've just completely forgot about it. But there's a dangerous trend happening. I don't know if I should call it a trend. Maybe not the best word I can use, but there is something that's been fishy going on with Facebook Marketplace. Now, you might say, well, you should know the risks you take if you do negotiate through Facebook Marketplace. You may even use Craigslist as an example. That's totally fine. I can understand where you're coming from, but this is taking a turn for the worse. Essentially, there was a story that took place in January of this year, end of January. I believe it was January 26th or 27th of this year. There was a situation where a pregnant wife of 5 months ended up losing her life tragically. Here's the deal. It doesn't matter if you visit someone else's house or they visit your house. It's dangerous either way. You need to go somewhere where it isn't remote, where there's cameras, somewhere safe, somewhere safe. Because this is becoming a little too common now. And after the story that just unfolded a few days ago, I'm convinced you can't even do anything simple and meaningful with people nowadays, such as even having an interaction. I just don't understand it. You can't even exchange items, sell items to people because it may turn deadly. Can you believe it? I'm just at a loss for words how we got here, but it is happening. And it left me completely speechless the more I think about it. Essentially, there are two cases, two Facebook Marketplace incidents. There may have been a few more, but from what I can recall, I've only seen two that caught my attention. So, essentially, the moral of the story is that this is why you may want to consider, you probably know this by heart, but if you don't, right? If you don't by any chance, you want to consider the possibility of taking preemptive measures by exchanging items with someone through Facebook Market. If you want to do it safely, I highly suggest going to your nearest police department. They should have a safe exchange zone or a community exchange zone, whatever term you want to use that's applicable. Either or, they either have assigned parkings or you can meet inside the lobby of your nearest police department. I highly recommend you exchange items there. Now, it may be no biggie. It may not even apply to you. You've probably done countless Facebook marketplace transactions with everyday folks, and nothing has ever happened to you. You never felt threatened once. But the reality is grim, and it's a stark reminder that you never know what's in store for you until it happens. The reality is becoming crystal clear that even everyday average Joes can become dangerous individuals. And you would never expect it to happen to you until it happens. So we're going to cover two stories, and I'm going to try to be as quick and thorough about it as possible. So the first story that I completely skipped, and I wanted to cover it, but I'm glad that I can revisit this story. It's about a Facebook marketplace that turned deadly. This took place around January 26 to 27 when the incident took place. So there was basically they were making a deal this family was making a deal to sell their 1994, what was it, Ford Ranger pickup truck. This was about 2 to 3 days before the murder took place. There was a teen who was interested purchasing the vehicle, and I believe he had around $1,600 in cash to purchase it. I don't know exactly how it turned left the way it did, but I can't even imagine how the victim's husband must feel because his wife was pregnant and her chances of surviving a situation, especially a situation that can escalate and turn physical. How is she supposed to defend herself? How is she supposed to do anything about it? How? It just doesn't make any sense. And it's unfortunate that when this tragedy struck her, she was by herself. There was her pet animal, but her husband was at work. So it was the worst time for this to happen. And she probably was a very caring slash loving person. So she would never expect this person to do anything of the sort. But the bottom line is Alyssa Morales, she unfortunately lost her life. And she was 30 years old, about 5 months pregnant. She lost her life at the hands of, his name is so bizarre to me, Nidas Revuk, Revukas. I tell you, the last name really gets to me. Now I'm noticing there's a pattern where every person, I don't know if this person, I doubt he is illegal, but I don't know, I doubt it. I think this is an actual American. But I swear, every person who's not committing these murders have the most longest or the most bizarre last names for you to ever spell out because it's just hard to roll it off the tongue. So he was 19, right? And he tried to purchase this vehicle, but apparently he didn't enjoy the vehicle because it wasn't in mint condition, quote unquote. I mean, it's a 1994 Ford Ranger. I don't know what you would expect. So he eventually went to her home, I to Alyssa, what is it? Alyssa Morales' home. She was located in, I believe it was Downers Grove. It was a village in Chicago, Illinois. And what happened is eventually she, the complex or the area where she lived, he went there so that he could, I guess, pick up the bill of sale and I guess so he could turn in the license plate. So unfortunately, I don't know why it escalated to that point, but she gave him, I believe, a screwdriver so that he could remove the license plates and I guess so that he could return it to her and she could give him the bill of sale. Unfortunately, things took a dark turn and he came back with the screwdriver behind his back. And I believe she allowed him to enter the premises of her apartment. And little did she know he was going to end up using the same tool she gave him to remove the license plate. He was going to end up using that against her, which he did. And I believe he used that screwdriver and he stabbed her with the screwdriver about 70 times. Despite her best, she was not able to escape the ordeal unharmed. Then I believe he used that same screwdriver against the pet animal, but the pet animal was able to survive and was treated by a vet. Then out of nowhere, apparently he tried to set the complex on fire. And he took her cell phone and he tossed it somewhere. He snapped it in half, tossed it somewhere. I guess so that they wouldn't collect evidence. So yeah, it's just unfortunate how that took a turn for the worse. And once he was picked up by police, he immediately took a nap as if, oh, I didn't do anything wrong. Let me just chill and relax and take a breather from the situation. I'm just thinking, wow, like the people are really just losing their minds. We really need to make asylums great again because this is just getting too far. But, and I know that's controversial take, but if this is how people are going to act nowadays, what else can you do? You might think, oh my God, it's just a human. He made a mistake. He ended up murdering her. It's not a mistake. It's mental insanity. And we need to stop treating it with kid gloves. So, that's the end of that story. That's the end of that story. I believe when they were interrogating him and the detectives left the room, he cried on several occasions. I guess reality started to sink in that he was going to end up in jail. Good for him. I hope that he suffers because he made a poor woman lose her life and her unborn child. As a result, now a 2-year-old and her husband are left trying to pick up the pieces because of this. I don't even want to say this piece of you know what for what he did to her. But that's the end of that story. Let's move on to the next. So recently, and before I begin, the person in question, Nidas Revuska, his next court appearance will be March 25th. So let me move on and transition to the next story, which is another Facebook marketplace situation that turned deadly. This was in Mississippi around the Memphis area. We had a father and daughter unfortunately lose their lives. They, they were they were named or they go by the names of Victor Gonzalez and Serenity Gonzalez. So they were 39, 19, pretty young age for a father compared to what we're going through these days with people and kids, right? No one wants to have kids apparently. So they were supposed to meet either at person or persons in question because Victor Gonzalez wanted to obtain a PS5 from the marketplace, and they were going to give him a PS5. But something happened where this took a turn for the worse as well. And I just don't get it. I mean, they found the vehicle. I don't know how. I guess they must have been chasing these individuals, Victor Gonzalez and Serenity Gonzalez, the people, the victims who were trying to pick up the PS5. I don't know what happened, if it turned confrontational or volatile, but they must have been chasing them. The victims must have felt threatened, so they escaped the area. And they found the car like crashed, and there was like a crash, and they found them around the River Road, and I believe it was Panola County. The two people were unfortunately dead, which were Victor Gonzalez and Serenity Gonzalez. And this was around 7 a.m., and I believe this must have been March 1st when they found the victims inside the vehicle. So this was all over a PS5, all over a PS5. And from what the son said, this was his words essentially. He said um, that he believes something went wrong with the negotiation process because he believes they tried to flee based on the fact that there were road tracks and that there was mud on the vehicle. So that is a there is a high likelihood that must have happened. So the bottom line is, no matter what you do, I'm not gonna tell you to stop doing Facebook Marketplace if that's what you enjoy, especially if you find juicy deals to your likes and tastes. But at the same time, even if it's to your liking to use Facebook Marketplace, uh, be prepared for the worst if you do take a different stance and you decide to meet up with people. Go with a second person. You might even have to be armed in the worst case scenario because you never know how people roll these days. But the bottom line is meet up at a police station, meet up at, I don't know, a hospital, meet up at I don't know, at a grocery store, somewhere where there's cameras around. So you're not gambling with your life by just simply trying to go about your day and just simply try to get a juicy deal from Facebook Marketplace. And before you know it, you lose your life tragically for no reason because someone is just doing it for nefarious purposes. And I believe that people are starting to use more or less Facebook Marketplace, yeah, to sell their items, but there are other people who are using it to target and make victims out of their own insanity because they are just no longer human. They're just subhuman. They don't care who they hurt. So for them, this is justifiable because they have nothing else to lose. So people just need to be mindful, use safety exchange zones through the police department, and stay safe out there. That's really all I can really tell you. Before I leave, just a quick reminder, please click that like button so that, again, it helps me out in the algorithm. But other than that, I just want to wish you guys a good morning, good day, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys the next time.